YouTube, over a short few weeks, we have unfortunately lost three of the greatest NBA legends and players, and honestly people of all time. And those people are Jerry West, Bill Walton, and Chet Walker. First of all, before I say anything, I just want to send my thoughts, prayers, and love to anyone who knew these people personally and the family and friends of these three great men. The purpose of this video that I'm making is basically just to share my admiration, respect, and to honor and celebrate the lives of these three great basketball legends. Highlight some great things that they've accomplished and, how they impacted the game of basketball on such a big level. But like I said, the purpose of this is to honor and appreciate the lives of those lost. And in this video, I'll be sharing some of my favorite things that I find super special about these three men that we've lost over the past few weeks. If you guys have been around the channel, I try to keep things light and positive and I guess as, non-heavy as I can. But when things like this happen in life and we deal with things like loss and things like that, for one, it's just bigger than basketball, right? And two, I really do think it's important that, as people before fans of anything, we set some time aside and both honor and celebrate the lives of those lost. For a lot of us, they've paved the way for something we love so much, and that is the NBA, but even bigger than that, the game of basketball. I know personally that I didn't get to see these great men play in their prime or really at all while they were playing in the NBA. I would imagine a lot of you guys watching this video haven't seen these three legends play basketball in the NBA either while it was happening. So while I didn't witness it firsthand, I do definitely understand the level of impact and sacrifices that these three legends made and how that helped build the NBA that we love today. These three men are trailblazers, they are heroes, and they will be missed. And like I said, this moment is bigger than basketball. And I think as basketball fans and NBA fans, no matter what's happening, moments like this, can't be ignored. And that's why I wanted to make this video today. Before I share some special things about all three of these guys, I really want to take note of how the NBA is so different than a lot of other sports leagues that I've seen, in that there is a real family dynamic and bond within the NBA, not only just amongst the players, coaches, or people directly involved in the sport, but also all of the fans in the community. When things like this happen, it seems like it is a real family that is losing someone. And I really do appreciate about this community more than anything. And that is what makes this sport and this league and these fans so special, is that, no matter what team we're a fan of or what players we root for, we can all recognize something like this, come together and treat this situation with the respect. I think, like I said, that is something that stands out to me within the NBA community. And I hope that this would remain true for this situation as well. If you guys have any comments before I get into, some of these amazing accomplishments these men made, if you guys have anything to share about, experiences or just some awesome things that you find about these people that you would like to leave in the comments, definitely do it, because, I think the more people take part in this remembering and celebrating and honoring as possible, the better for the game and just us as people. I think it is important, and I think it is definitely a really positive thing the more people that can do that. First, we're going to start with Jerry West, and he passed away, unfortunately, I think yesterday at the time we're recording this video. And what is there not great to say about Jerry West? I mean, first of all, the logo, right? The NBA logo is based off of him. There's a legit photo where you can compare them side by side, and it's Jerry West. I mean, for one, I think Jerry West is one of those NBA legends that would absolutely dominate in today's game. I mean, if you talk about just his skill set, I think Jerry West is one of the more underrated players in NBA history, no question about it. Look at his accomplishments and the way he played. He was able to shoot from the outside before a lot of people could. He was a great ball handler. He could really score on any level of the floor and just had the total package as far as a player goes. So I want to, highlight some of the amazing accomplishments Jerry West had throughout his career, not even just on the court, but off the court as well. So first of all, Jerry West and all three of these guys are NBA Hall of Famers, and that should be mentioned first. But Jerry West was a 14-time All-Star, played every single year of his career with the Los Angeles Lakers. From the time he was 22 to 35, he spent dominating on the court, and Jerry West has been an All-Star in the NBA for all 14 years he's played. There wasn't a year where he wasn't an All-Star, which is incredible. The 1970 scoring champ, the 1972 assist champ, the 1992 NBA champ, 12-time All-NBA, 5-time All-Defensive. That's another underrated thing about Jerry West. He was an amazing defender. And also, Jerry West is the only player in NBA history, I don't know if you guys know this, that won a finals MVP without actually his team winning the finals. So, I remember in 2015, there was speculation that LeBron James could win the 2015 finals MVP, even though the Cavs lost. And Jerry West still remains the only player to ever accomplish that, which is really crazy if you think about it. And, Jerry West was a 1972 All-Star Game MVP and a member of the NBA 75th anniversary team. Over Jerry West's career, he averaged 27 points per game over a 14-year career. year, 5.8 rebounds, 6.7 assists, and 2.6 steals. Unfortunately, they didn't track steals and blocks until his last season, so God only knows how many amazing defensive steals and blocks he would have had to tally up over his career. Even in his last season as a point guard and a shooting guard, he averaged 0.7 blocks. So I think there would have been a crazy stat line if they had been recording those. And in his final season at 35 years old, he's averaging 2.6 steals. So amazing all-around player. Had the total package, like I said, rebounds, passing, scoring, shooting, defense. Like, this guy is one of the more underrated players in history. Won a finals ring in 1972. And honestly, if you look at his playoff numbers, it's really insane how he didn't win more finals. They had some great teams with Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor, with Jerry West with the Lakers in the late 60s and early 70s, I think. And Jerry West had been to a bunch of finals and finally ended up winning in 1972. It's probably the best feeling he's ever had. But if you look at his finals numbers, it's really, really crazy that he hadn't won more, because his performances in the finals are some of the best ever. So just insane amount of underrated play out of Jerry West for his legacy and career. This guy is an awesome all-time great talent, probably a top 25 or so player ever in the NBA, one of the best guards we've ever seen. Much respect and admiration for his play on the floor. Off the floor, we have to talk about a couple things, because Jerry West was involved in a lot of front office stuff with the Lakers and recently the Clippers, and Jerry West always struck me as a person that knew exactly what he was talking about. He really understood the game and the evolution of the game. He talked about it on Paul George's podcast, which I saw the episode of, and it looked like a lot of players that played a long time ago, they maybe kind of don't understand the modern game and don't love it or something, but Jerry West seemed to really be embracing today's NBA, how it's so different from when he played, and I think that's awesome of him to do, and had a role in the front office with the Clippers recently, like I said. And also, I believe Jerry West was directly involved in drafting Kobe Bryant and getting Shaquille O'Neal to sign with the Lakers right before their three-peat. So Jerry West basically assembled the Lakers, Kobe and Shaq era, and the three-time champion Lakers. So you can't say enough great things about the logo, Mr. Jerry West himself, and he will be missed. Rest in peace, Jerry West. You will be missed forever by the NBA community, and I know for me personally. The next person I'd like to talk about and honor and appreciate is Bill Walton, Hall of Fame NBA center. You might know Bill Walton for being kind of an eccentric personality on TV. He's definitely an interesting guy and was a little bit different than maybe what you'd expect from an NBA player, but I think Bill Walton's another player and person who had a really underrated career on the floor. I mean, again, Hall of Famer. We'll talk about some of the things that happened throughout his career, the injuries primarily, but two-time All-Star, 77 rebound champ, 77 block champ, two-time NBA champ, two-time All-NBA, two-time All-Defense, 77 Finals MVP, 78 MVP, 86 Sixth Man of the Year, and a member of the NBA 75th anniversary team. What a career for the late great Bill Walton. It's really crazy to think about that Bill Walton was one of the greatest prospects and big man in terms of talent coming out of UCLA as a prospect for the NBA. From what I understand, Bill Walton was one of those players that in college, everyone knew he was going to be the first pick and could totally change the league. And right away, it seemed that the people saying that were correct, because Bill Walton immediately had an impact on the league. Unfortunately, Bill Walton had a lot of injury issues throughout his career. And I'm telling you guys, I think Bill Walton could probably be one of the greatest players in NBA history, top 10 maybe, if he stayed healthy throughout his career. Imagine a world where Bill Walton was never injured. This guy could be, a five-time champion, three-time MVP type career. I think he was that great on both ends of the floor. He is quoted, before the Nikola Jokic era ended up, in the NBA right now, Bill Walton was basically cited to be the greatest passing big man of all time. And, got to remember, in 1970s, like, this wasn't a common thing. Big men were really like back to the basket and stuff like that. There were a lot of great, passing big men throughout the years, but Bill Walton stood out as the best, averaging 5 assists per game in 1978 for the Portland Trailblazers, and really was a hub of that offense. You talk about, rebounding, scoring, defensively. I mean, the guy was an absolute monster on both ends of the floor. I personally have a great thing to say about Bill Walton defeating the absolutely stacked 1977 76ers. It was the first year, I believe, or maybe the second year Dr. J was on the Sixers, and he was in his prime, another all-time great in his prime, and they had players like World B. Free and George McGinnis, I believe, and Daryl Dawkins, and it was basically like a super team in the 70s, right? And that team never really ended up winning because Bill Walton and the Portland Trailblazers defeated that team in the finals in 1977. So he also had a great playoff run that year, and like I said, basically it was similar to what you'd see in 2011 with Dirk Nowitzki basically, solo squatting the Miami Heat, if you guys remember that. So that's kind of what I would liken it to. Sixers were a super team. Bill Walton came out. Obviously there were some great players on his team, team, but he really was up against it, and he came out and just dominated. So also won another championship coming off the bench for the Celtics in 1986. Like I said, winning Sixth Man of the Year that season. And imagine a Hall of Fame center as your backup five, right? Like you have Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale and Bill Walton, Hall of Fame center, coming off the bench for you guys. Like that's a dynamic, great front court, probably the best front court ever, and he was a part of that. So Bill Walton, you will always be remembered. I can't say enough great things about him, and just a basketball lifer, right? He really enjoyed the game, it seems, and just had a really great love for life. So you will be honored and miss Bill Walton, and rest in peace. The last person I'd like to talk about is the late great NBA legend Chet Walker. And Chet Walker is really someone that I think means a lot to me personally, because he had spent most of his career with the Philadelphia 76ers. I've heard a lot of amazing things from people in my life that have been around to see him play the game of basketball in his prime. And Chet Walker, I'm a diehard 76ers fan, so anytime I get to hear great things about a Sixers legend, I'm always up for it. And I have heard nothing but amazing things, how underrated the Hall of Fame forward for the Sixers was Chet Walker in his prime. In my opinion, it's not a name that you hear all the time when talking about NBA legends from the 1960s era, but Chet Walker played from 1963 to 1975. He spent that time in the league and played for actually got drafted by the Syracuse Nationals, who became the Philadelphia 76ers in the second round of the draft. Played a year in Syracuse and then they moved to Philadelphia, I believe. So he was a 7-time All-Star and a member of the 1963 All-Rookie team, also a Hall of Fame small forward, like I said. But the biggest contribution that he made to the league, in my opinion, was being one of the best players on the 1967 Philadelphia 76ers, one of the greatest teams in NBA history, apparently. I wish I was around to see it because, that's my Sixers, right? But Chet Walker, during the playoffs that season in 1967, averaged 21 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists, and shot 46% from the field and 80% from the line. What an amazing playoff run for Chet Walker. That's probably the best year of his career. And imagine being like one of the best players on a finals team alongside Wilt Chamberlain, right? Like that was Chet Walker. And like I said, a 7-time All-Star. I mean, you look at his numbers throughout his career, is really consistent. And you actually wonder, looking at, if you guys know down in the comment section about this, let me know. His last season, he was 34 years old and he played for the Chicago Bulls, who he had spent 6 seasons with leading up to his retirement. But again, 34 years old in 1975 with the Chicago Bulls was his last season. And he ended up averaging 19 points per game on really good efficiency, like some of the best efficiency of his career. About 6 rebounds, 2 assists. So maybe you guys can and he actually ended up getting MVP votes. I'm seeing now he was 16th in MVP voting. Maybe you guys can let me know, if you guys know about this, down in the comment section, why he retired in what seems to be like similar to his prime form. You know what I mean? I know he was 34 years old and maybe he had some injuries or something, but he played 76 games that season, and he was a real Iron Man throughout his career, playing wise. He never played less than 76 games in his entire career. So if you guys know anything about that, make sure you guys tell me down in the comments, because Chet Walker appeared to be amazing at 34 years old, which was pretty rare for the time in the 1970s. So players weren't usually that great that long. So just an absolutely amazing career for Chet Walker. Again, another guy that I think is a little bit underrated when you hear about all-time greats from the 1960s and 1970s era, and the fact that he did so much for my Sixers on one of the greatest teams of all time in 1967, probably the second or third best player on that team. Just an amazing career for Chet Walker, and much respect and love and appreciation for him as a 76ers fan and as an NBA basketball fan in general. Chet Walker is definitely going to be missed forever. Rest in peace, Chet Walker. And like I said, to close out the video, I think it is really important when something like this happens to talk about it, right? Keeping, stuff in that you feel, or, I am fortunate enough to have a platform where a couple people listen to me. So, hopefully you guys will take this moment with me and appreciate and respect and honor and just admire the greatness and the amazing lives that these 3 men gave to our, favorite sport of basketball, mine personally, and just the amazing contributions and impact to the game at the time where, this league was not anywhere near where it was today. It took Chet Walker and Bill Walton and Jerry West and players like them, superstar, talents, to build this league up to where it is now. I mean, without some of these guys, there would be no current NBA, like they really paved the way for a lot of things. And we have to honor, I know I keep saying that word, but it's really true, the sacrifices that they've made, and respect them as legends. And it is really important to do, in my opinion. Like I said, I do try to keep things light on the channel, but certain situations like this is bigger than basketball, man. And we got to come together and appreciate, the lives of these men that were lost. And like I said, much love and thoughts and prayers to the family, or anybody that was close to these men. They will all be missed. They will all be loved forever. You can count on that from me. And hopefully, if you guys are watching this video as well, I would hope that you would feel the same way. So the late great legends Jerry West, Chet Walker, and Bill Walton, you will be missed forever, and you will never be forgotten by the millions and millions of basketball fans that you've impacted and inspired throughout your lives. Rest in peace to Jerry West, Bill Walton, and Chet Walker.